My name is Tellez, and I'll be doing a presentation about rhetoric in motion, writing across access, genre, and voice. Scholarly composition must embrace multimodality in order to blend, which is basically the blending of different forms of communication in order to increase your accessibility, adapt to changing genres, and as well as audiences, and as well as to reflect the real-world practices of communication. So think of it as kind of a intersection between image, text, video, audio, visuals, all to kind of bring home your passage. And I'll basically go over the separate parts of it that can kind of bring it home. Through increasing your accessibility through captions, audio, alternative text, transcripts, shouldn't be seen as something just to benefit, those with disabilities, but it also increases the composition for all readers. Through layering your different modes of communication onto a piece, it really opens up the audience to increasing their engagement, to enhancing their visuals, providing context as well, which really adds for a greater form of expression through your writing. Throughout scholarly writing, you must understand that you must evolve to different changing genres as well as audiences. For example, in a professional setting, when you're presenting to business execs, you must look clean, must be simplistic, have a very professional look. Meanwhile, if you're presenting to maybe high schoolers, teenagers, uh, you want to increase your engagement since they have less attention span. So just being able to be sort of what's it called, a chameleon and adapt to your different genres, and you can use techniques like offering claims, using polls, hyperlinks, infographics, depending on who you're presenting to either make it look, more professional, more engaging, more scientific, depending on who your audience is. Like I just discussed with the genre changes, the writer must respond with its own rhetorical moves to kind of adjust itself, which is basically kind of the parts of the text that help the writer, accomplish their goal. Rhetorical moves can be seen as kind of remixing to adapt your skills to new context, making their own writing more flexible as well as intentional for the audience. Students must learn to adapt their digital code switching to kind of match the real world, conversations. When you're talking to somebody, depending on who it is, if they're an authority figure or maybe someone you look up to, you'll be a lot more thoughtful for all the words you say, a lot more respectful in your manner. The voice, the tone of voice you use, the eye contact, your posture, all that changes. So the same thing has to be adapted towards digital writing, whether it's formal or informal, using emojis, GIFs, text-based, stuff, something joking, something more lighthearted, or whether it should be more of a serious tone to match where you're presenting or who you're writing for. Final takeaway is to realize that you cannot rely only on words, that text alone has a very small range when it comes to getting across your message as well as accessibility, so that one must learn to adapt to new forms of audiences, genres, uh, by changing their text, the way you interact with text, adding media, realizing that it's okay to do something different, to stand out more, make it more friendly for the audience. Since when it's constantly super formal and very bland, boring, it can really tire out, especially in this modern age where everything just seems to be changing so much. It's important to adapt your writing to match that. Here are my references. Thank you guys for watching, and see you on the next video.